Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show. I'm not smiling too much right now because I'm talking about something that is outrageous and should outrage everyone. If anyone had told me just a few years ago that we would be living in a time where men, some of you prefer I say biological men, I'm just going to call it what it is, men who choose to pretend to be women would get to compete against those women, demolish them, and that's okay. How have we gotten to this place? Okay. Now, if you have been paying attention to the news or reading or looking online, I imagine it's everywhere. You know that there was a boxing match at the Paris Olympics. Italy's Angela Karini, forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Angela Karini abandoned the fight with Algeria's, and again, I might be pronouncing it wrong, Imani Khalif, who failed the gender test, by the way, a gender test, but was allowed to compete against a woman. Khalif is a man pretending to be a woman, okay? After 46 seconds, Carini said, "I've had enough." She had said she'd never been hit so hard in her life. She was in tears. I can't imagine what it must be like to be an Olympian, to be an Olympic caliber athlete. You know that comes with incredible sacrifice, incredible hard work. And a woman then has to go into the ring and fight against a man. And what I'm saying for some people is controversial. Why? Like, when did we get to the point where we've got to be like apologetic and tippy toe around saying what should be obvious to every single one of us? And that is that that woman should not have had all her hard work absolutely demolished by some man who probably couldn't cut it, fighting against other men who had failed a gender test before, but somehow qualifies for this, for the Paris Olympics, to fight against this woman. And then she gets demolished in 46 seconds, at least to the point where she's like, "I'm not going to do this." First of all, she's no loser. I applaud her for saying enough is enough. I'm not doing it. In fact, as sad as it sounds, I wish more women would do it, because it's not just happening in Paris. It's happening, and it's not just happening professionally. It's happening in public schools and all this stuff that we have allowed. And of course, you probably have heard Riley Gaines, who had to deal with Leah Thomas in swimming. You probably know that story. She's been fighting this battle ever since. She's been fighting it. She's been speaking out against it. She's been enduring hate because of it. But when do we take a stand? Angela Karini deserved better. And some dude decides that I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna box against a woman. And actually, you're excited because you went in the boxing ring and punched a woman in the face. Well, wow. This is outrageous. This is where we are in this culture, in this society, where we have young girls even in schools that they're not even guaranteed that they can go into a locker room, they can go into a bathroom and not have to see a dude in there pretending to be a woman, and everybody else is expected to play along with it. So this woman who works so hard, some of you, you know what Title IX did. You know that Title IX, 50 years of progress with Title IX. And this woman in Paris has to deal with that. And it's not just there. A few months ago, you probably know, President Biden undid Title IX regulations because he decided that gender identity is more important. And therefore, schools, not just colleges, public schools, schools receiving funding from the government, you're in deep doo-doo if someone is misgendered. And he doesn't use the word transgender in that, but it doesn't protect women from that at all. It's not there. But if you misgender someone, if you use the wrong pronoun, you're up the creek without a paddle. There's no protection, there's no separation, there's no differences between the sexes, according to how he revamped Title IX. Why am I bringing that up when I'm talking about the Paris Olympics? Well, today is August 1st. And that's when that rewrite, that undoing of all the progress is supposed to go into effect. Now, I don't know where that is, because I know there were several states that was pushing back and fighting against it legally. So I don't know, but as of today, that's supposed to be the deal, where Title IX is not like what we can't even identify it for what it was. And I don't care what your political persuasion is. I care about women being able to compete against other women. I care about men staying in their lane and competing against other men. I care about young children who have a dream to compete, and in a second, somebody gets to take it away, like what happened to Carini in the Olympics, on the world stage, having to box against a dude. It's absolutely outrageous. And I'm going to tell you this, that's why I spoke it out when the big three offered Caitlin Clark an opportunity to play in the league. I know a lot of people said she should go for it. She should make the money and forget the WNBA. What do I say? I say absolutely not. There's one thing to go to the basketball court, to go to the gym, to go wherever you like to play pickup ball. It's one thing to be in your structured practice on your team with guys when you're a woman. That's one thing. That's a whole different thing than when you are a professional and there's so much on the line, and then you're supposed to be playing against dudes. I love to play the game. I spent a lot of time playing against guys, and I held my own. But I ain't foolish enough to think that in a professional setting, or even in a collegiate setting, that I'm going to be able to compete. If I'm just talking about the physical aspect, and I'm going to be able to compete fairly against a guy, absolutely not. No. So I was not in favor of Caitlin taking up the offer and playing against guys, even if it is 3-on-3 in a professional setting. Absolutely not. That's why I came out against Dawn Staley when she was asked during the tournament, the NCAA tournament, that controversial somehow question about whether a guy should be able to play in the NCAA even against a woman. And she said, if you feel like you're a woman, then you should be able to play. I called it out then. I wrote about it then. I spoke about it then. It's outrageous, and she ought to know better. She ought to know better. Now, I'm not even 100% sure that's not already happening in the WNBA. I wonder. I'm not even sure. Maybe you feel confident. I don't feel quite so confident. Or in the NCAA. So for her to say that was totally irresponsible, period. But I spoke out against it then, and I spoke out against Biden when he undid Title IX to make it something that it absolutely should not be, that puts everyone in danger, that causes me to be punished if I call you something you're not. No. It even has in there where you can't even defend yourself if there are sexual assault charges against you. It's a whole lot into that Title IX that, again, supposed to take effect here today on August 1st. But there's been pushback and some lawsuits, etc., from various states. You can check into it all you want. My concern as a former teacher, as a person who coached young women, as somebody who has fought libraries against the pornography in the children's section, as someone who has family members, young women, as a Christian and just a human being, it's outrageous, and we have to do the right thing. We've got to get this thing turned around. My heart goes out to Angela Karini, and Imani Khalif already has another bout, another match set up to fight another woman, even though, again, this person failed the gender test, but qualifies to compete in the Olympics. Karini's heart was absolutely shattered, as every one of us would be if we were in that situation or our children were in that situation. I'm going to speak out on it. It's absolutely wrong. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the opening ceremonies. That was debauchery in and of itself. I haven't watched any of it at this point, not any of it, but I'm paying attention. I'm reading, I'm seeing, I know what the deal was, and it's wrong. And I got to call it like it is. Let me know what you think in the comments respectfully. If you come at me hard, I'm just going to block you. Okay? I already had to do it today about something else. Okay? But in this issue, and in every issue really, we need to be respectful. So if you come into my house, which would be in my comments, you need to come respectfully. If you think I'm wrong, I can't even imagine. But if you do, I'd like to hear about it. Men should be playing against men, and women should be playing against women in a professional setting and in the Olympics. It just shouldn't be what we saw happen with this woman and her dreams being shattered because some dude decided that it was easier to knock a woman in the face. All right. Leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.